So in First Nephi chapter 17, verse 35, he says, "He that is righteous is favored of God." And this is kind of a continuation of an idea that you see a lot in the Book of Mormon, that if you keep the commandments, you'll be blessed in the land. You'll be blessed. And if you don't keep the commandments, you won't be blessed. And this is a theme throughout the Book of Mormon and throughout the church in general. But I want to point out that as I have studied social statistics, I have a PhD in social welfare, and I've done lots of I do social science research for my job and for my work, and that's my field of study. I kind of view these statements as a social statistics. So in social statistics, you have something that's known as the ecological fallacy, and that's when you take a statistic that says something like, 70% of Americans like ice cream, or whatever it is, and you apply it at an individual level. And that's a fallacy, because when someone is studying a society, those findings don't translate down to the individual level. So what I'm saying here is that societies that are righteous and keep the commandments are favored of God, are blessed of God in aggregate. So this is a social statistic kind of statement, that societies that worship God are blessed. But when you apply it to the individual level, I do think that on average it helps, but it's not like a chemical reaction. It's not a law. It's not math. It's not, I keep these commandments and therefore I will always get X. There are lots of people who are good who have problems. The bad things do happen to good people. Job is in the scriptures for a reason, and there's lots of cases all throughout the scriptures where bad things are happening to good people. So the statement that he that is righteous is favored of God, that's not a mathematical statement. That's more of a social statistic. That's more of on average, if you're going to be righteous, you're going to be blessed, and it's going to be helpful to you in your life, and you'll be more prosperous. And I think that's obvious. Like, on average, people who don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't covet, live better, more prosperous lives than those who do murder or commit adultery or steal or covet. They're less likely to end up in jail. They're more likely to have healthy relationships. They're more likely to feel better about their lives. There's been lots of studies in the social science of religion and in health that shows that people who have faith, on average, tend to have better mental health and better social support, and things are better for them. But that doesn't mean that everyone who has faith is going to have good mental health. There's sure a lot of people who believe in God and are trying to keep the commandments, but have lots of problems socially. So sometimes bad things happen to good people, sometimes good things happen to bad people. And so in life, you should view this as a social statistic as opposed to a math equation. Now, after you die and you have the final judgment, I do believe that God will make all things right. And God will be perfectly just. And for those people who did trust in God, he will bless, and he will give them a great glory. And those people who didn't trust in God, who may have been successful in life, they're going to lose all their worldly possessions. So I think in the final judgment, it does become math. But in the meantime, you should view it more as a social statistic than as a math equation.